I never thought I would be running a school, let alone 3. Sometimes I kind of sit back and I'm like, how did all this happen?
Actually, I was a Catholic school administrator.
I was working in a district school.
I was the PTA president. I worked with the governance, a local school site council.
I was a teacher in an LAUSD school.
I was so busy with trying to make the traditional public school work that I became like the poster child for mothers at my daytime job.
I grew up in Los Angeles. I actually grew up in the Pico Union neighborhood, about 12 blocks from this location.
I was a teacher. I'm a teacher in my soul.
You only saw the principal once a year for about 15 minutes, and the assessment of whether or not you were a good teacher was based on that and kind of if your kids walked down the hall nicely.
And I actually heard a district mandate that they were only going to be able to focus on grades K through 3. Well, what did that mean for my son? That meant that by the time they fixed the schools, he was going to be a freshman in college. I looked at my friend and I said, okay, Mrs. Roy, we've got to go.
I was absolutely starting to get cynical. I think that one of the things that I was tired of in my career was arguing about whether or not kids belonged in general ed classes, arguing about what reading curriculum to use for all children.
I ran into my second grade teacher at another school, and when I introduced myself to him and told him what I was doing, he said he didn't think that anyone from my previous school would ever amount to anything. And that really made me think of like what are the expectations of children that are in these traditional schools, and do we really expect them to be successful? Do we really expect them to be educated to the point where they have the option to go to college? And at that point the answer was no. And as I looked more into the traditional system, it seemed like the answer was no. We don't expect these children to succeed. And I wanted to create an educational environment where children did have access to quality education and the opportunity for academic and future economic success.
I did definitely want the ability to utilize different methods in my classroom, which I felt a little bit more restricted with before. I love the idea of co-teaching, which was something that was not available or encouraged at my other school.
So I was complaining to a friend who was a public school teacher, and she said, you should start a charter school. The words changed my life. We joked that we were young enough and dumb enough to think that we could do it.
I am an African American mom, middle class maybe. Where was I going to get the money to send my kid to a private school? My son's future was at stake. My community's future was at stake.
It was a matter of fate and right place and right time, and also having a dream of wanting something different for kids.
An answer came, and it came in the answer of a charter school.
Persistence is really important for new charter school leaders because it's hard. I mean, raising the money, finding the buildings, getting approved by a chartering agency takes a lot of work, and you got to be willing to stand up for your vision for the kids, because you will hear no. Absolutely, you'll hear no many times.
The biggest difference was not having any limitations. I mean, we could create the kind of program that we thought worked for the kids and the parents. And if we wanted to, have a schedule, an extended schedule where the kids stayed in school maybe half an hour longer, we could.
I read some research about how listening centers, listening to books as you read them, supports English language development and supports struggling readers. So I showed the principal the research, and she said, great, let's get these listening centers and let's get this going. Like that. I mean, and within 3 weeks, I had listening centers and the kids were at work.
We didn't have a district telling us you can't do that.
So it's not someone from the outside looking in and saying, here's the need. It's someone from the inside bringing it to the whole community. And I think that's really different from what a teacher might encounter in a district atmosphere where there's just a lot more bureaucracy and forms and papers and, you know, things that you have to go through before you can help the kids.
Welcome to Chime Charter School.
At our school, we made a commitment to saving seats for 4 children in every class. What that means is 20% of the children at Chime Charter Elementary School have disabilities. We also implement a model of full inclusion and co-teaching, and that simply means that special education isn't a place, it's a service. When special education services are pushed in, they benefit all children and they become more fiscally responsible. I am so astounded at the freedom that we have from bureaucracy. That does not mean freedom from responsibility and accountability, but it means freedom that if you really have the dream and if you really have the drive and are willing to work as hard as you can make such a unique vision real for kids that as a teacher it's the most fulfilling experience I've ever had.
What I think is the key to starting a charter school is finding people who have like minds, models out there that are serving the same population you want to serve, or doing the same type of instructional methodology that you want to try, and finding out from them what works, what doesn't, what the road is going to be like ahead. That's critical to starting a charter school.
It seems to me almost utopian at times, because when I wake up in the morning, it's just such a good place to be. I have a lot of fun with the students, and I'm hoping that they have a lot of fun in here as well.
And now what's going to happen in the next few years in the charter movement is we're really going to think about strategically how to impact public schools, how to work collaboratively with them so that we are not just about having all this freedom, but really becoming these centers of research and development for bigger schools.
I think I'm in for life. I really think that it ends here for me. When you've experienced something that's so good, it would be like taking steps backward.
I don't think I would ever go back to a district school. It'd have to be a pretty special school.
I would say to people who are starting a charter school a couple of things. Don't let go of your vision. I would say be a duck. And what I mean by that is let things roll off your back that are inconsequential and are not going to matter a year from now.
It goes beyond a commitment to a job, it's a commitment to a community.
What gets people to charter schools is the idea of doing something different, but what keeps you there is realizing, wow, I'm participating in something much bigger than just teaching. You know, I'm participating in a movement that is going to change generations of kids and their families.
I pulled my own child out of our homeschool, which was considered a very, very successful public school, and put her in a charter school, which is the highest endorsement I can give anything. I consider myself to be a professional with an enormous amount of integrity and belief in what I do, but when I walk that walk as a parent, there's no higher feedback that I can give.
When I was a 5th grade parent, there wasn't any other choice. We had to make it happen. We had to make it happen. And I say to parents out there that if you want something for your child, make it happen. Make it happen.